So I'm going to call the City of Groton Mayor and Council meeting for Monday, February 7th, 2022 to order. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Present, we have Mayor Keith Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Guinevere Depot, Councilor Rashad Carter, Councilor Christine Piazza via Zoom, Councilor Stephen Sheffield, and City Clerk Megan Peters. Excused tonight is Councilor Paul Norris and Councilor Lisa McCabe.
Okay. Please stand and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have recognition awards and memorials. Terry, if you could come in and bring your crew. Where do you want me?
So that I can get my phone.
You want me over there? You want me here? Okay.
Christine.
Are we on? Okay, where is it?
Can we bring everybody to the other side, please?
My fault.
Oh, the gas, the
My
gas,
apologies.
All the guests.
the gas.
Thank you for being here. I was not clear in my request. All right. So I'm going to move this a little bit so we can get these guys in there. Jill, let me know when you got a decent shot for these guys. Okay. From the office of the mayor, City of Groton, in Connecticut, proclamation, Terry Lamb Day, February 7th, 2022. Whereas Terry Lamb is the director of the award-winning Nutmeg Volunteer Junior Ancient Fife and Drum Corps, and whereas Terry has been a volunteer director since 1987, serving generations of southeastern Connecticut families, and whereas over 500 youth aged 9 to 18 have benefited from Terry's dedication to the Fife and Drum Corps, and whereas Terry has led youth in countless parades and reenactments, and whereas Terry's passion for music and teaching children to play the fife, snare, and bass drum has inspired to keep history alive and teach children about our American heritage. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Keith Hedrick, Mayor of the City of Groton, on behalf of the citizens and the City Council, do hereby proclaim February 7th, 2022 as Terry Lamb Day in the City of Groton, given under my hand the 7th day of February 2022 in the City of Groton, Connecticut, signed Keith Hedrick, Mayor. Terry, this is for you. Do this. Okay. Do you want to, all right, hold on, we'll do this again. Okay. I was just talking to Dan Tompkins out in the foyer. And for the whole time that I've been a counselor, and long before that, I'd come in on Monday nights and I would hear the Fife and Drum Corps, hear them practicing, hear them playing, hear the good notes, hear the bad notes, but they were here and they were playing, they were under the direction of Terry. They march, they've done musters, done a great job here at Fort Griswold. And so, I mean, it does my heart good. It reminds me of where we come from as Americans. And if you look at our mural that we have out there about the Battle of Fort Griswold, it takes me back to that and who we are as residents of the City of Groton. So Terry, thank you very much for everything that you've done. So please come up and.
Well,
Yes, so almost 35 years ago, I was minding my own business, and I popped into Nutmeg Fife and Drum Corps to see if I could help. And I just remember coming home and my mom said, "Oh, how's Fife and Drum?" And I said, "I think I'm the director." And she went, "Oh no, Tara." I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And I was 25 years old. And my complaint to the board of directors was, "I'm too young. I can't be the director. I'm too young. I can teach marching, Mr. Chapman was teaching drums, Mr. Burrows was teaching fife, but I could teach marching, I could do that, And they're like, "No, you could be the director." And they hadn't had a director since Jackie Nixon had gotten sick and left the Corps the prior November. So it'd been about 6 months they didn't have a director. So the first year was fun. It was a lot of, "Hey, we don't have a bass drummer. Can you play the bass drum with the kids?" "Sure." So out and back into the uniform I went. And I did that for a few years, and then all of a sudden they got so many kids and they didn't need me anymore. And I was like, cool. So now I'm going to be a director. And so it was kind of a learning experience, but more for the kids, because I just did it the way that it was when I was a kid in the Corps. So it was a little bit of an adjustment period, because things had changed a little bit over the times and stuff like that. But I will have to say that my alumni, the kids who have been in Nutmeg since I've been director, and some who were in the Corps with me as a kid, have always come back and supported us. And for probably the last 10 to 15 years, it's been really hard to get kids to make the commitment, because we are a year-round activity. So we do about 30, 35 performances a year. We travel about 3,500 miles a year. We've done New York City St. Patrick's Day 25 times plus. We've done Boston St. Patrick's Day Parade. We do New Haven, we do Mystic, we do Providence St. Patrick's Day parades. And then we do 7 Memorial Day weekend parades, one right after another. Luckily, it's spread out over 3 days, so it makes it a little easier. But we've had some really impressive and incredible opportunities, that the kids have played. We did a Revolutionary War tour in 1992, and we were 10 days on the road, and we did 7 performances in 10 days. And we camped at various locations, once in a firehouse, once in people's houses, once in a yacht club, once at Fort Ticonderoga, and once in a church. So we go for cheap. So whoever will put us up, we say, well, yeah, we'll play. We'll play for our place to sleep. And then we repeated the tour in 2013, slightly different. We called it the Liberty Tour. We played at Liberty Park instead of, with the tour of 92, we played at Independence Park in Philadelphia. And then in 2013, we did the Liberty Tour, and we played at Liberty Park in Philadelphia, and then we went up to the Statue of Liberty, and we played and stuff around there, so we had a great time. And we even made several trips down to Disney. We were very fortunate when I was in the Corps. It was during the bicentennial, so we had close to 70 kids. And I think since I've been back these last 34 years, I think it's been about maybe 25 was the maximum that we've had. But it's free. It's a whopping $25 a year dues to help offset some of the expenses. But that's it, and my fife instructor was in Nutmeg as a kid. My drum instructor was in Nutmeg with me as a kid. My fifer that's playing with us tonight was in Nutmeg as a kid, and now I have her son in the Corps. And this little guy behind me is playing bass drum, has come back to help us out, and he aged out of Nutmeg as well. And so at 18, we let them march their 18th year, and then we kick them to the curb. But we do so in such a nice way that they come back to help me out. And that's really how we've been getting by, is I call the alumni and say, I need somebody, I need fifers, I need, snare drummer, I need a bass drummer. And I need bodies. I need, some parades actually tell me I have to have 10 musicians on the road. And when you don't have 10 musicians yet, you're like, okay. But no, I wouldn't change it for a world. This Corps has been the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And I'm just happy that I can share it with these guys and hopefully keep it going for many years to come. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen. Say again?
You want us to play it?
Sure. That'd be great.
Did I hear a over there? We got a fighter to play with us.
The other one had to get one.
Yeah.
We might need to split up for the drums.
Yeah, you guys might need a little bit. All right.
If you need to spread out or move around,
Come on over here.
feel free to do that.
We're not going to play loud like this.
Thank you, Cor, for being here. Okay, council, are there any other recognitions, awards, and memorials? Nick? Did I miss? Oh. Oh, any other recognitions, awards, and memorials? Okay, I have one, happy birthday, Barbara. I know that Barbara Fruck typically watches mayor and council meetings here, so today's her birthday, so I want to wish her a happy birthday. And that's that. Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rules to move resolution R-22-02-09 to immediately following recognitions, awards, and memorials.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, so Councilor McCabe, hold on. I want to make sure that we have. Is that everybody? Are there any other participants that want, anybody and everybody wants to be part of this? Let's bring them in. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Councilor McCabe.
Resolution R-22-02-09. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Timothy Gardner as a firefighter EMT in the city of Groton Fire Department effective February 7th, 2022. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, Chief?
Mayor and council, good evening. Guests, we're here tonight to present to you Tim Gardner. He is from Lisbon, And tonight, he brings with him
Sorry.
his wife Ashley and his 3 children, Mason, Lily, and Kean, and also his mom, Terry, and his mother-in-law, Janice, to witness this day where hopefully we're going to swear him in here in 2 minutes. He is a resident of Lisbon right now, but he was from Norwich. He went to Norwich Tech, got his degree in plumbing. He has a very impressive resume. He's gone through 2 interviews. He's gone through a physical agility, a physical, and also a psychological testing. He's firefighter 1, a firefighter 2, fire officer 1, fire instructor 1, and hazmat operational. And today, we present him in the form of a resolution as our newest officer.
Okay. Hearing that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Clerk, please do the swearing in. Clerk Peters.
Timothy, come on up. How are you today? Good, thank you. When we're done with this, I am going to ask you to sign and date here. I'm going to have you raise your right hand. Do you, Timothy Gardner, solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut? You will discharge the duties of firefighter EMT in the City of Groton in accordance to the rules and regulations of the Fire Department, the City of Groton, and the State of Connecticut law. You will faithfully serve the citizens with honor, integrity, and to the best of your abilities, so help you God. Thank you. The mic is yours.
I didn't prepare much today, but I just want to say thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm looking forward to serving the residents and the visitors of the City of Groton.
All right, at this time, if Ashley would come up and pin her husband as hard as you'd like.
Council? Anything? Deputy Mayor Depot?
I mean, I just want to repeat what I said, the first time that we met. And thank you for serving our community. We need people who are willing to put their lives on the line for our residents, and that's what you're doing as a firefighter and the police department as well. And you deserve a lot of gratitude for offering to do that, so thank you very much.
Anyone else? Councilor Carter?
Yeah, just on top of and we said it last time when we met you, you have your other career, but you something that you want to do as a child, as a kid, right? And you're gonna continue that as a man and showing your boys and your daughter, what real human beings are made of. I commend you on that.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Welcome aboard, and thank you for doing it in the City of Groton.
Thank you.
So we will recess for 5 minutes, and we'll meet out in the lobby so we can get pictures. We can take pictures, and then there's also cake. But, so we'll recess for now. Okay, thank you. We are back from recess, and I'm going to call the meeting back to order. The next item on the agenda is receipt of citizens' petitions comments. Receipt of citizens' petitions comments is the portion of the council meeting where the council welcomes comments from the citizens to address the council. Please sign the sheet on the table in front of the meeting room. When you're recognized, please approach the podium, clearly state your name and address. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit emailed or written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to the City of Groton. City councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and can respond during the response to citizens petition portion of the meeting. Is there anyone that has signed up to speak tonight? Okay, then we will move on and move beyond response citizens petitions. Approval of minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve the January 3rd, 2020 mayor and council meeting minutes.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. I'd like a motion for January 24th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. And I'd like to have a motion for January 24th Special Mayor and Council meeting minutes.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay, communications and reports. Councilor McCabe.
I just wanted to say I had a pleasure of helping pass out the free COVID tests a couple weeks ago on a Saturday. It was a bit of a cold day, but we had a lot of people come by. I didn't know if we were going to be doing that again, Mr. Mayor, in the future, or do we have any scheduled?
Right now, if people would like to get COVID test and or N95 mask, they can come to the city clerk's office at the counter and they can pick up 1 test kit and 5 masks per household.
Okay, thank you.
So that's where we are. If we get enough in the future, we may talk about a distribution, but right now, with the numbers that we have, it's probably easier to go ahead and do them from the front desk. If there are people that are homebound or can't get here for whatever reason, please call the dispatch number and we will get a test kit and mask to you. And hold on, let me get you that number. The dispatch number is 860-445-2451. That's the non-emergency number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, Councilor Sheffield.
Same here. Attended the passing out the mask and the COVID test, and it's definitely fulfilling to watch, to have people the importance of getting masks and testing, and so it's a very important part of our community assistance. So thanks for everybody involved, and it's great to have a good turnout. And obviously it was better in previous weeks, but it shows that we're taking this with a sense of urgency to take care of this problem. That's all.
Okay, good. Thanks. Councilor Carter, nothing? Councilor Piazza?
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Depot?
I got distracted. On January 28th, I volunteered at the food box distribution with the United Way and in cooperation with St. John's Christian Church. As usual, they very kindly let us use their parking lot. We had a lot of people come out in need of food boxes, and I just want to remind people that we've been doing them one a month. The next one is February 25th, and if people need reminders, I haven't thought of this before, but there's a reminder in the newsletters that we send out. It always has the dates of the food box distribution, so if you need a reminder in your inbox about it, please subscribe to the newsletter, because it'll send you, it's a weekly newsletter, right?
Say again?
The newsletter is weekly?
It is a bi-weekly?
Bi-weekly, Joe? Bi-weekly.
It's a
Bi-weekly, sorry.
newsletter.
But it'll give you a couple reminders before the date comes up, so you can remember to get to it. And if you can't make it to the distribution site, please contact the mayor's office, or does the United Way coordinate deliveries as well? No.
No.
Contact the mayor's office. I think I delivered 7 boxes last time. So similar to the mass, if you need a food box, we can get it to you. Just contact the mayor's office and we will coordinate that.
And our office number is 4103. That's the mayor's office.
And on February 1st, I attended the Black History Month ceremony here at the Municipal building. And we had a couple people speak, including Town Councilor Juliet Parker, and Town Councilors Bruce Jones and Melinda Cassieri came as well. And I just want to thank them because they had their own ceremony to go to also on the same day, a couple hours later. So it was nice of them to also come to our event. And Juliet Parker's also, I think, the secretary of the NAACP New London branch. And so she spoke at the event along with a couple other people, including Pastor Coleman. And it was just a really good event to kick off Black History Month. And we have a banner hanging in the foyer now. And there's books
Yeah, we're
available.
waiting- Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
We're waiting on the flag. The flag got caught up in bad weather and then other shipping things, but as soon as we get the Black History Month flag, we'll be flying that as well.
But I just wanted to encourage, I know Val coordinated getting the books available through Parks and Rec, but every library, we have several community libraries, every library will have books available, so if you're interested in learning more about Black history, this is the month to do it, and there's no shortage of books available to learn about it at any library. Just pick one, and they'll help you out, so.
Absolutely. In our foyer, we have a sampling of books from Black authors that we were on loan from the Bill Memorial Library.
Perfect.
So, thank you.
That's all.
Anything else?
No.
Clerk Peters?
I also participated in the COVID test distribution on January 22nd. It was cold, but I thought it was fantastic. I like seeing all the residents come through and talking to everybody as much as I can. So I really like those type of events. January 28th, food box distribution. Again, I really like talking to everybody who comes through. So I also love that event, as well as feeding people. And lastly, I also attended the Black History Month celebration. It was great. It was great to listen to Pastor Coleman speak and Juliet speak and all the other speakers. So I did appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Okay, couple things. We are in budget season. We're going to be I'm going to be bringing two budgets to you for approval tonight. Hopefully you will approve them. But one of them is for highway, and as a result of that, the charter requires a committee to confer with town council on highway funds. It says a committee of 3 city councilors shall be appointed annually to confer with the town of Groton council to determine the amount of money which shall be necessary and proper for the making or repairing of streets and highways of said town within the limits of the city during the current fiscal year of the city, being the fiscal year for which the highway budget is being determined. The amount of money which shall be necessary and proper for the making and repairing of streets and highways of said town shall be within the limits of the city, shall include the amount being set aside for any necessary and proper capital improvements for such purposes. So that's from the charter. I think I have 3 volunteers. One is Deputy Mayor Depot, Councilor Norris, and Councilor Sheffield have volunteered to be this. We will forward this to the town, to Mayor Melendez, and he will be choosing, or they'll be volunteering or whatever for their counselors. Tomorrow morning, I'll be lifting the mask mandate here in the municipal buildings. The caveat to that is if I'm encouraging people to still wear masks if they are in confined spaces or if they're in close proximity with people. In addition to that, I am giving the department heads the authority to issue a mask mandate under their jurisdiction if the working conditions and distancing requirements, if they're unable to do that in an effort to help still control this. So that will happen tomorrow. We have COVID testing tomorrow from 2 to 6. That's out here in the parking lot. The good news is we will have a continuation of that for a long period of time. What you probably don't know is that there was a period of time where that was in jeopardy. With SEMA 4 leaving, we worked with Les Light and Department of Public Health. And so what we've done is I sent some emails off, John Birch sent some emails off, and Mayor Mike Passero sent emails in order to keep the COVID testing stations in London and in Groton so that we would have them. So there was a potential that we were going to lose them, but due to great action on a lot of people's parts, we will now have COVID testing for the foreseeable future. There's a Valentine's Market on the 12th of February, which is this Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also, there's a heart hunt. There are 12 city businesses who are participating in this, and it's from now until February the 14th, so you go find the hearts. And then for both the Valentine Market and the heart hunt, if you go to our website or Facebook page for the City of Groton Recreation, then you can find additional information there. Thursday, February 10th, there's a virtual public workshop from 6 to 7:30, and if you go to our website or Facebook, you can find additional information out about that event. So, excuse me, so I did want to put that out to everyone. Committee referrals. So the last snowstorm we had 22 inches of snow. And I think everybody involved with that, from the Public Works were directly involved to the firefighters and the police who were still providing service, and public utilities. Groton Public Utilities was standing by in the event of loss of power, which we did not have any, but everybody did a great job. The challenge we have is that these guys are now a victim of their own success. So there's expectations that what happens in a 2, 4, 6-inch snowstorm happens at the same pace as a 22-inch snowstorm, and that's not what happened, and it's not realistic. There were times that the rate of snowfall was greater than 2 inches an hour, visibility was less than a quarter of a mile, and yet the plow driver stayed on top of this. So they did a great job. But we've received a lot of comments from the public, and as a result, I'm going to refer the snow ordinance to Public Works, so that, and I want to take a full look at that. And what I mean by that is go down and look at, do we want to keep it? Do we want to change it? Do we need to include fire hydrants in there? Because we could not find a Connecticut general statute that says you have to do that, because somebody come up and said, okay, I don't see anywhere, you don't have an ordinance that says you have to do it, so what makes me have to do it other than me being a good guy? So I want to take a look at that. We also want to look at, do we want Public Works to clear sidewalks partially or completely in the city? And you guys will get additional information. Director Robards is standing by to provide you information and work with you and answer any questions that you may have regarding that in committee. So I want to go ahead and basically look at that ordinance completely 100%, and then come back to the council when you're ready. There's not a rush. We're not doing it now, and you know, we have some time. Okay, any other committee referrals? All right, hearing none, we will move to R-22-02-10, Deputy Mayor Depot.
Resolution R-22-2-10. Therefore be it resolved that the City Council approve the reappointment of Martin R. Talley Jr., 17 Pleasant Street, Groton, Connecticut, to serve on the Representative Advisory Board to the Southeastern Connecticut Water Authority, term to expire on February 7th, 2024. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Counselor Sheffield.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-02-11. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the 2022 City of Groton Recreation Department user fees. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Counselor Carter. Well, I was going to go to everybody that's here first, and then I'll hit Christine on the way around. But thank you. Or Counselor Piazza on the way around.
We're at 12 or 13?
We're at 12.
Okay. All right, hold on.
It's on page, it's on page 17.
Is it on 17?
Page 17, up toward the middle.
Well, it starts,
That's the end.
that's the end on 17.
Yeah,
It starts,
where's it? Yeah, what page does it start on?
12.
Way up at 12?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on page 10, but it's
Ends
resolution.
at 7.
Starts on page 10.
Jeez. Okay. R-22-02-12. There be resolved that the mayor and council approve the rules and regulations of Eastern Point Beach for the year 2022. I so move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We discussed this during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Counselor Piazza?
I just wanted to ask, I know it was brought up a while back in reference to the flotation devices. I wanted to know, such as like child seats and, car seats, is there somewhere that people can go to say, yes, these are Coast Guard approved? I'm assuming that they're on the tag, but I mean, if they're unsure, let's say somebody gives them some, the tag's not there, how are they assured that it's the type of flotation device that they need to be using?
Well, I would think that they would go to they go to a Coast Guard website, but it's not
Is it-
here. Say again, go ahead.
It's your question, because I know we have the rules saying that it has to be Coast Guard certified.
Right,
So is
so-
that is a question of how the Parks and Beach
No,
knows?
how does a user know?
How does a user know?
Yeah.
Oh,
I would imagine
Usually-
they
It
could
would
just ask
say
the,
it,
ask the
wouldn't
lifeguard too, or.
Flotation devices
The lifeguards
have,
know, they have to know if it's, so
Right.
you assume it has a tag on it,
yeah, they are stamped with a
a stamp.
a
yeah.
rating, aren't
So are
they?
we sure that the lifeguards know? Are we sure they're trained in it? Or
Yes.
is so, I mean, if somebody asks me a question, I wanna make sure that I refer them to the appropriate people or,
Well,
They
places
know,
they need
they
to
do
go
know
to
the
or,
standard.
hold on a
you
second.
know, to assure that they have the proper device.
Counselor Piazza, I'm going to ask you to clarify your question. So are you asking, how do we know as enforcement? Or how does the user know as somebody that wants to purchase a flotation device? What's your question?
How does the user know? I would imagine, I'm pretty, feel solid that with this coming into a resolution, that it's already been discussed and that we know what they are. I know, Deputy Mayor Debo had spoke on this quite a bit at one time, the type of devices. My question is basically about the user. So if somebody comes to the beach, let's say somebody has a visitor, and they say, oh, we have to have this, and they say, well, I'm not sure if it's this, who would they, if somebody called before they came to the beach, or if they were actually at the beach, how could they verify they have the proper flotation device?
They could call Mary and Val at the Parks and Rec desk, and then they can help you. But if you go to page 15 of the package, number 20 says, only Coast Guard approved type 3 personnel flotation devices are allowed. I think if you look that up online, that would probably help as well. Because that is
So I
very,
guess the
that
answer
is
would
very
be is that
specific.
they can look online ahead of time, or if they're there, they have a question, they can go to the lifeguard, hopefully that they have the answer. I don't, I just don't know if, I'm not saying that the lifeguards don't know, I'm just saying if, would they actually know, are they trained in it, and would they feel comfortable enough to say, yes, you have the proper advice?
Then
That's all I'm asking.
I'll go back to my original recommendation, have them call the rec desk here. They can look it up online, or they could call the rec desk here to get their questions answered.
Okay, thank you, I'll write that down, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Depot.
I just want to point out, all of the beach employees are trained to enforce the rules. So if that's in the rule, I am
Yep.
certain that Mary has that as part of the training. In addition, there's always a supervisor on duty at the beach, and that's always, one in particular that I know of. He's been there for years. He absolutely knows which devices are approved and which ones aren't. But the lifeguards are trained in that as well, and they will know because they're charged with enforcing that. So they know which ones aren't allowed because they're supposed to be enforcing that.
Right.
And-
Go ahead, Councilor Carter, you have the
And
floor.
just, and being a part of the committee, this mandate is more due to, I mean, the mayor's not here, so I can't, I know we've discussed it. It's basically so patrons or people of the beach don't bring big giraffes and big, large things that shouldn't be at the beach. That's basically what this is for,
But
essentially.
I will get a specific answer. I'll talk to Mary tomorrow, and I'll get the answer to the council in writing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions or comments on this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, Councilor Piazza, R-22-02-13.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just gonna flip my page here.
Okay.
Here's from the left side. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize Groton Utilities Management to issue a purchase order to Minside Advanced Control Systems, 2755 North Woods Parkway, Peachtree Corners, Georgia, as a sole source provider for amount not to exceed $169,733.30 to secure services and equipment for the electric SCADA system to be paid from electric non-bonded capital budget. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Councilor McCabe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution R-22-02-14. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize Groton Utilities Management to issue a purchase order to Wright Pierce Engineers, 169 Main Street, 700 Plaza, Middlesex, Middletown, Connecticut, for an amount not to exceed $131,953.00, including a 10% contingency for engineering services, a preliminary and final design of odor control and HVAC systems upgrades to be paid from funds in the wastewater bond fund. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-2-15. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the fiscal year 2023 Highway Department budget. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Councilor Carter.
I have a quick question for the director. So last week it was brought to my attention, and I don't know how I missed it. I don't know. I've been on the council for a while, and you mentioned engineer, that we have an engineer, and I don't recall, or Yeah, when did we hire an engineer? Or do we have an engineer, or is it a qualified engineer, or
Is that on?
do we contract it?
So when we need a professional engineer, we absolutely do contract it. We do have one position which is held by Heidi Camo, so that's a project assistant, coordinator, and that's what budget is kind of tied in with her. That piece of it goes with her. So you'll see like a salary that's tied to her, all of those pieces down through that. But if we need to utilize a PE or reach out to services, we do. We have on-call service providers in place.
Oh, okay. All right, so Heidi's our engineer?
Well, she's part of the budget for the engineering services, so she's truly a project coordinator, but it does fall under the engineering group.
Is that new, or is that something that I might have missed? Is that something that's like new this budget, or did that come in?
No, I believe she's been in that position for 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. And it's always been, the budget line is, she's part of that.
She was hired as engineer?
No, she wasn't hired as an engineer.
Not as a true engineer. She's really a project coordinator, working underneath me to support projects and et
All
cetera.
right, no, because I was, and I don't know, you referred to, we're gonna check with our engineer. So when you hear engineer, I didn't know if that was, because the highway I didn't know that the highway department had an engineer.
We did it one time, it's a long time ago. If we need a true engineer, meaning a PE stamp or an engineer stamp, we have we have more than one that we could use, but we also have an engineer, Carl Osmovich, over in Groton Utilities that we could use if we need true engineering services.
Okay. That's it,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I understand.
Counselor Ship, I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
That's a good
Deputy
question.
Mayor Depot?
I have a question to piggyback on that. What's the reason for having her in the engineering department if she's not an engineer?
So so that's a great question. So she truly coordinates a lot. So for example, the road work that we're going to be doing, the full depth reclamation that's coming up on Paquonic Road, that's going to be assisted. So a lot of the documentation, the records, those types of things, she helps in gathering that, recording that. It's truly a supportive role. It's not truly an engineer role.
So would it not make sense to clarify that in the budget?
Certainly. If something, sorry to, but it's just that but you said it's gonna run it by engineer. I looked at the minutes, and if something's structurally sound, and et cetera, if something happens and somebody's labeled an engineer, would that not fall back on the city that's getting, and I'm not saying nothing about, I love Heidi, but
Yeah,
I think the clarification of the actual title, because I missed that. I didn't know the city
Yeah.
highway had an engineer,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm totally in the passing this budget. I think that's just something that needs to be looked at as far as, and I don't know, liability wise, because I know, at least from what I know, is that I don't know.
No, that's
I'm
a
not
super
gonna go into
question.
it.
So
Okay.
if we're performing projects where we have to have engineering support on, that would be part of the project. So somebody would be there to support that, to make a decision, or that we have somebody on paper that we reach out to with questions to make a decision on changes for the package, et cetera, things like that. We will utilize an engineering service for that. And again, we have 4 of them that are on paper right now that we can reach out to,
So,
as needed.
so I guess, I'm not trying to put you in the hot seat.
No.
So I guess my question then would be, why wouldn't we maybe move towards or look at having her position be exactly what she is, as opposed to an engineer and actually hiring an engineer if we need an engineer?
It's a very good question. Yep.
Who? Counselor Sheffield?
Yeah, as far as, you know, again, if we're gonna have an engineer in the budget, we should, you know, have that engineer. If not, we should probably take it out and leave Heidi's position in a separate, you know, a separate position, so we understand, you know, the role and so forth, so.
Where, take me to your line item, because, okay,
I don't have the line item. I was going based off the Cal notes from, you
Based
said you
off
were gonna
what?
check with the
calendar,
engineer.
committee of the whole.
And I'm just off of,
okay.
okay.
So if you look in the budget, the line item is engineering, not engineer, engineering.
That's correct.
And
Like
then
it's the
full-time
group.
personnel, that's where Heidi comes in.
That's Heidi's salary.
If you look at contractual services, whoops, hold on, wait, hold on, where are we? We have a line item, I don't remember where it is, and I can't go right to it yet. But we do have, if we need an engineer, we will contract that engineer under professional services, or that engineer, or engineering service will be part of the project that we're doing. So we do not maintain a full-time on-call engineer because we don't have the need for that. We don't have the need for that.
But why is there a title engineer though? That's
It's
what I'm
not
looking-
engineer.
He said it was coordinator.
It's a project coordinator.
coordinator is her
Project
title.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Cal notes and it says we're gonna check with our engineer. I can show you the,
Well,
I'm
what
not
was,
making it up.
what-
It's-
no,
that's
there's,
okay.
no one's saying you're bringing it up. What's the context?
Did
Listen,
they say gonna
It
check with
said-
our engineer Heidi? Or check with our
I
engineer?
didn't, he said Heidi. I didn't say
Oh.
Heidi. I said, who's our engineer? He said Heidi.
No, what I meant, well, what I thought I said was the salary that you
Right.
see in that packet is
Falls
tied
under
to
the
Heidi
t-
Camo.
I didn't mention salary. I didn't mention anything. I said, who's our engineer? Is it a contracted position or do we have an engineer? And then you mentioned Heidi. And then I asked you, is Heidi an engineer, a qualified engineer?
Heidi
And that's
is
what we got
not
here.
our
She's not.
engineer.
No, I
She's
think
not
he
a
said
qualified
that
engineer.
engineers are all contracted out.
That's correct. And you'll see that piece, you'll see that piece broken out in like roads and street. You'll see contractor services, and
making
that's
this up?
tied to that.
I got it.
Yep, yep.
He says, Director Robar states that we have a large project happening in the Quonic Road this upcoming fiscal year, and our engineer will be very involved in that. And I asked you who was our engineer, and you then told me that Heidi's our engineer, correct? And then I said, how is Heidi an engineer? And then you told me that, well, sometimes if we need real engineering, then we'll contract out. Then I asked you, well, doesn't that label her engineer, would that put us in a peculiar situation if something happens and she's not qualified to be an engineer? And that's where we're at now.
Okay? She is not an engineer. And we have not asked her to sign for or act as an engineer in any of the things that she does. So it does not put the city at risk or in
Okay.
harm's way that where she's acting as something that she's not qualified for.
Okay, and that's what I'm
So-
asking, because he said engineer, so,
Okay?
okay,
That's
that's
good
it.
question. I
Understand.
remember that question and asking about, because we increased the overtime a little bit, and I remember saying, you know, we increased that because Heidi will be supporting, you know, in that role, you know, the project, you know, it's coordinating that. So she's gonna have more foot time on
Could
it.
have been verbiage on my part wrong. I can make the change.
No, because he added and said that the engineer was Heidi, so it's not what you said. He
Okay.
stated that the engineer was Heidi.
All right, Deputy Mayor Depot.
Okay. Question. Did Heidi's position exist before she was in that position?
Pardon me?
Did Heidi's position exist before she was in that position?
I'm sorry, oh, no.
No.
So, did we have an engineer, realize that we didn't need a full-time engineer because we weren't utilizing them, and realize that we needed a project manager more instead, and we used that budget for a project manager?
Yes. So, a couple years ago, for those of you that have been here a while, know that Heidi was administrative assistant to the mayor. There was Bill Lewis was the last engineer that we had here, and Bill left several years ago, and that position was vacant for a while, and then Tim came to me and said, I don't have a need for an engineer, but I do have a need for a production management kind of person. And so we worked on, actually, let me define we. Linda, HR, worked on a position description, run it through the union, and got them to look at it, and they agreed with what we were looking for and what Tim was looking for. And then we went out, put out a position, not a position description, but a job requisition for it. And Heidi and several other people applied for the position. Then Heidi made it through the applicant process and was hired as that position, as the production management system.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, again, and I'm not saying nothing with Heidi.
Understand.
I was talking about as far as
The
the
verbiage
actual
and the way that the
verbiage.
question was answered.
Certainly,
Got it.
certainly, that's only, that's it.
Understand,
Okay.
absolutely, understand. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Not to belabor this, but since there are three of us that are going to defend this budget,
We will have a meeting before you go.
okay, my question is, would it not make sense to make that clearer? Because if it said, if there was a line that said project management instead of engineering, we may understand now, after an explanation what engineering is. But from my standpoint of going to defend this budget, it's a lot easier when if the line was clearer, to explain to a person that this is what it is, instead of trying to say, well, it used to be an engineer, but now it's a project manager because that's what we need more.
Is it a line in the budget? I thought it was the verbiage in the minutes.
There's a line in
She
the
said it
budget
falls under. He's
for
added the-
engineering,
Engineering
Line in
And
the
she's under
budget
that.
is engineering.
Engineering.
which,
Okay.
as Counselor Carter said, I'm all for the budget. The budget is fine, but I do think that maybe it was
yeah.
before your time that was done, so it's obviously not your
Yeah, no problem.
doing.
Yeah.
But I do think that when that happened, the change should have been made in the
Just
words
switch it
in the
over to what
budget.
she is,
Yeah, I don't,
Well,
I mean, unless there's some reason why that can't be labeled differently.
well, it says full-time personnel. I mean, that's about as vague as you can get.
I think it all
So-
started with, the question on, and the line description says right in there, and that might be where it is, overtime for engineering. And that's, why did we increase that? And the reply was to
Right.
support
Yeah.
full depth reclamation down
It's
on the
not
job. And Heidi truly is in that role as a supporter for
Let me
that.
talk,
Right.
let me talk to Ron tomorrow and Bill about, if we want to change this, this.
I mean,
is
we're
a-
gonna get that question in the 3-on-3.
Yeah.
Why do you have engineering if you don't have an engineer?
I understand, and we'll
Okay.
have an answer for that. But if this is, and some of this goes back to the way this has been set up, and I don't know how hard it is to change it. Don't know the answer to that.
Right.
Right, can I just say one more thing, Mayor?
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Depot, you have the floor.
I know that all of our budgets are run through the accounting system, so it may not make sense to change it on your end, on that particular page, but I think there should be, maybe we could do a subline that says project management, or some kind of way to indicate what that full-time salary is for, since it's not
Well,
clear from the title.
The other thing that you do not have, I don't think, is when we send it into the town, I think we have the FTEs and the equivalents
Mhm.
and all that in there, and I think that has job titles. But we'll also get the three of you guys together so that we can go through the budget with a fine tooth comb so that you are prepared.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so on that sheet, it does say Heidi Camo, Public Works Facilities Coordinator. That's her title per se on the salary sheet.
Okay? Counselor Sheffield?
Yeah, so I think with that in mind, I think that should be stipulated in the budget to have the complete understanding of the position and the money allocated.
Well, we'll see if it allows for it.
Yeah.
if the system allows for it.
Well, system as far as, what system are you,
I'm talking about our accounting system.
Software.
The software allows for it.
It has categories.
Deputy Mayor, do you-
Just to clarify, because we get the budget, that's the spreadsheet from the accounting system, but we also get a separate sheet, and that does have Heidi's description. We get a separate sheet of the employees, and that has the description on it, and that goes with the budget.
It's, yeah.
So
yeah,
I think
but-
that's sufficient.
But it's, like, so, can I speak?
No, not yet. Hold on. Were you done?
I'm done.
Okay, Counselor Carter, you have the floor.
Yeah, so even more so, I would say, to speak on that, if it has her description, but then the overtime is coming from engineering, then there's kind of like a, do you see what I'm saying? It's
Oh, I
like, okay, where's the over,
I understand.
yeah, okay.
I do understand. And, so the tab on the budget is engineering. Her job description is different a little bit from it.
Yeah.
But she does fall under that tab, the engineering tab, her
Right.
roles.
Okay,
Yep.
So
It's
she
just the
doesn't
way-
fall under administration, she doesn't fall
No.
under fleet maintenance.
No,
yeah. It's
She
just,
doesn't fall under roads and streets
Yeah.
necessarily.
that's right.
She doesn't fall under snow and ice. So-
I was just I'm passing it, I mean,
Understand?
I'm
Yeah.
just asking, like you said, engineer, and I'm just,
Yep,
okay, you
understand.
know?
Like I said, we will address these tomorrow. We'll get back to you. We will get the three of you together so that, when we'll go through this with a fine tooth comb, so you can be prepared for any questions that may be asked during the 3-on-3. Any other questions or comments on this budget? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill.
All right, where are we?
16.
Okay, 16, Counselor Sheffield.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-2-16, therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the fiscal year 2023 police department budget. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We discussed this during the committee of the whole. Are there any questions on the police budget? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay? Well, he's got to be here for one more. Counselor Carter?
Can I say, I know we're moved on. It's a general question about, police, but not about the budget, I guess, so to speak.
What's your question?
It was just about personnel, like where we're at as far as how many more do we have to hire? And
Okay.
if that's in that, and I don't think we
Chief,
got too
do you
much.
want-
I know we've already passed it, we didn't get too much
We have two left.
for this, now, this year?
We just hired one.
Yep.
in the academy right now.
Yep.
We have 2 left.
And is that, and I didn't look, is that for this year? Okay, all right, that's it.
That answer your question? Okay. On to R-22-02-17.
Okay. You already said it.
Well, you got to therefore be resolved.
Yeah. Okay, so what happened? Say it for me. Therefore be resolved that the mayor and council accept and approve the award from the state of Connecticut Office of Policy and Management, OPM, as part of the Justice Assistance Grant Program, Violence Crime Prevention Grant, in the amount of that's a misspell, right? 42,000? Wait, right? $42,000 and no cents, and that the mayor, Keith Hedrick, be authorized to execute said agreement. I so move. Did misspell?
I so move.
I so move.
Okay,
Sorry.
we have a second. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Chief, you want to come up and talk about this? this was not discussed during the committee of the whole.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, City Council. What the JAG grant does, is it allows us, provides us with money to provide security for the city of Groton. We have done several different things with it, to include getting body cameras and stuff like that. What we have decided to use this year, the money for, is funds to obtain cameras to put out at key intersections in the city that would help us, one, locate areas of, we put them up in areas where there's a lot of traffic accidents, or there's some possible criminal activity, like we had some up on Bridge and North several months ago when we had that incident of the shooting. That would help us identify the cars and which direction those individuals had gone that night, and how many possibly individuals were there. So we have requested 4 cameras to be put through different locations in the city. It also allows us, we put in for training for our detective division and some supplies to complete crime scene processing with. And that is,
In addition to that, if one of the things that we do a couple of times a year is we have Millstone Drills. So one of the things that we get evaluated on is our ability to evacuate the city in the event of a millstone casualty or something like that. So these cameras can also assist in identifying where any tie-ups or congestion is, and we could redirect traffic to another route in order to evacuate the city, should something happen that we need to do that. So.
Correct.
Any other, Councilor McKay?
I just had one question. Are the cameras going to be permanently established in certain locations, or are they ones that you could move around if you wanted?
great question. They can be moved around. So what we would do, we would have a discussion with, we'd look at the statistics in-house, and we would locate the 4 areas that we believe they should go in for a while. And if something pops up in another area has a lot of activity, then we could be able to move them. I would have to look into exactly what that would cost. It all depends on how we wire the system. Would it be wireless or a hard wire? If it's hardwired, we may have another issue, because then we're gonna have to cost to move them. But if they're wireless, which we'd have to talk to IT, and we'd want them secured, so nobody else can get into the system.
Right.
So I would have to check on that, but it is not something that we have to renew the cost every year. So it's, once we get them, they're ours.
Good, thank you.
Councilor Carter?
Chief, who installs that? GU or is it the outside vendor?
Outside vendor,
Oh, yeah.
with the assistance of GU and IT. Yeah, we would not do anything without IT involved.
Any other questions or comments?
And the system would be in RPD.
Councilor Piazza, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, I just wanted to ask, so in this $42,000 grant, so when we talk about the cameras and the training, so if we had to, once these cameras are installed, decide whether they're gonna be wireless or wired, that outside of this grant, so that would be more monies outside of that, or would that be included within this 42,000?
I believe that includes the 42,000, correct?
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments regarding this line item? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rules to add resolution R-22-02-18, resolution with respect to the authorization, issuance, and sale of City of Groton general obligation refunding bonds not exceeding $14 million.
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Um,
Counselor Sheffield?
Okay, and these are gonna be for,
Okay, the
The purpose.
motion on the floor is to add this to the agenda so that we can discuss it. That's the motion that's on the floor.
oh,
And then
The
we can
motion
discuss it.
on the floor is to add this to the
Oh.
agenda so that we can then discuss it.
I thought are we at the discussion phase now, or? did
We are at the,
No, it's just to
we are
add it to discussion.
discussing
to add,
whether or
okay, sorry.
not to add it to the agenda.
Yeah, there, okay, thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Are there any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Counselor Piazza, you're up next. Let's, okay, there we go.
I have it up on the screen, I'm just waiting for it to be scrolled up to see it. Okay, perfect.
There it is.
It's right there, yes, thank you. Therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize the authorization, issuance, and sale of City of Groton, Connecticut general obligation refunding bonds not exceeding $14 million. I so move.
Nope, this is the one for today, and this is the one last year.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you so moved, we're waiting on a second.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay. So now let's give you discussion. In front of you at your seats tonight, there were two resolutions. One is Resolution R-21-5-88, which was for $14,200,000. And then the one tonight is the authorization for the continuing of the issuance of the bonds. And it's the same, basically the same bonds that you authorized last time because if you look at the 21, it says this resolution shall be effective until 1 January 2022. So the resolution that you have before you talks about the resolution will be effective until December 31st, 2022. So basically all we're doing is you're reauthorizing the sale of the city bonds. These are not new bonds. These are the same bonds, we're just extending it. Okay, does that make sense? Are there any questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries, we are adjourned.